Good afternoon, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing for you Freddi Fish and the Case of the Missing Kelp Seeds for the Nintendo Switch. Freddi Fish has certainly had an interesting journey on the Switch, as I've pointed out in my other reviews. First we got Freddi Fish 3, then 4, and now we're getting 1, so we're missing 2 and 5. So what the heck is going on that's forcing them to release these out of order, and why is it taking so long? As one would expect when going to the first entry after playing 3 and 5 first, you would expect that being the first entry, the company would still have to sort out what it is that they want to do with the franchise. Freddi and Luther don't have as much of a comedic banter between the two, they're kind of just sidekicks. And picking up purple sea urchins is kind of a non-existent thing. They just say, hey, we found one, as opposed to the constant bantering between the two of them in the later games. There's pretty much no theming to any of the level design, it's just generic underwater stuff as opposed to, say, the festival in Freddi Fish 3 or the ranch setting in Freddi Fish 4. And while it's a humongous entertainment staple to have almost all of their games have different paths every time you play, they're a lot less distinct this time around. A lot of the characters will still appear even if you don't technically need to help them, and a lot of the items will still be there, but what will change is that the bottles that lead you to the treasure chest will be in different locations. You have to find all of the bottles before you can get to the final area, which is always the same, so that kind of stinks on repeat playthroughs. What's weird about the bottles is that you have to find them in the exact order that the game wants you to. For example, one bottle might say, go to this location, but if you go to the location early, the bottle won't appear. But after you get the bottle that specifically says, go to this location, then it'll appear later. I wonder if that was just a programming oversight, or the game just had to be structured linearly so that it wouldn't crash. Perhaps the most glaring thing that really separates Freddi Fish 1 from its later games is that the art style seems a bit rough. Freddi and Luther, while they still have the same general designs, they're drawn a little bit weird as opposed to the more natural poses that they have in the later games. The voice acting also seems like they're trying to struggle to find the right voice direction, as Annette Tutungi and Mike McAuliffe managed to voice Freddi and Luther in every single game, but it seems like they got better in each release. In this version, it sounds like they're trying really hard to sound forced, I guess. It's not bad, it's just different. It sounds very odd, especially with the lopsided release schedule of the Switch version. If you set aside the growing pains issue of playing these games out of order, Freddi Fish 1 is more or less exactly the same as it was in the other versions. You still don't have the game in widescreen, you can still skip most of the cutscenes, but one thing that's really weird about this version is that you can only skip some of the cutscenes. In every other humongous entertainment game to date, you were always able to press the escape button, and in the case of the Switch releases, the A button, to skip whatever was happening, even transitions between environments. For some reason, they messed it up in this latest release, and now you can only skip some of them. For me, it seems like the pattern was that it was the occasions where other characters were talking, but if Freddi and Luther specifically were doing something that involved just the two of them, or moving between areas, then you couldn't skip it. Which I find is bizarre because this was released after the other games on the Switch, so surely being in 2024, they would have fixed that kind of stuff by now. But as it stands, that makes this actually worse than the original PC release. Now, if you look at it as simply a children's game, then I think Freddi Fish 1 is a decent my first video game for really younger children. The puzzles are stupid easy, and the characters give plentiful hints as to where you have to go. The game is very approachable, doesn't have a whole lot of anything scary or objectionable, so anyone should be able to play this without any problem. It's just that the other humongous entertainment games have so much more personality and refinement, and in the case of some of the Pajama Sam and Spy Fox games, cool moments, that this one is more forgettable and passable than the other entries. It's a decent game, but nowhere near as cool as the other Humongous Entertainment games. Then again, it is pretty cheap on the eShop, so you're not going to spend too much. I believe I spent about $15. I had a gift card, so not of my own money. And I think that's a pretty reasonable price. So pick it up if you have a young kid, but if you're any older than that, really the only reason you'd want to get this game is if you're super nostalgic for the old Humongous games. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the video and any thoughts you had. Special thanks to my patrons Matthew Rakowski, Spoon Ghost, and Splatcat for their donations on Patreon. And until the next time, remember to keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye!